Well, it's really an honor and a pleasure to be giving this talk, and it is apropos that I'm following Katie. I will tell you, I am a national certified health and wellness coach, um, and sort of brought that health and wellness coaching to our Florida campus when I came to Mayo just a little under 3 years ago. And when Dr. Hensru was kind enough to ask me to present at this conference, I was very excited. I'd been thinking actually about two different talks that I had wanted to put together. One is on gut health, and I'm excited to present to all of you tomorrow about that and leaky gut, and something that I deal with pretty much every day in my clinical practice, have a real interest in that. So I'm looking forward to taking you through that. And the other was this habits talk. And, as someone who does a lot of lifestyle medicine, who is trained as a health coach, I have a number of research projects going now in Florida um, related to health coaching for various populations. Obviously, a lot of that is about, as you've learned, behavior change and how do we make habits. And also, I've been reading a lot of books lately and over the last few years about habits, and I thought I'd list them out. I think I originally was going to have a slide with pictures, and again, I think our copyright people said you're not allowed to do that. But just many of these you may have heard of, but let me just sort of list them out. I am going to draw from Atomic Habits quite a bit for this talk by James Clear, because I think his book was probably the most recent of the ones I'm going to list, and he really references some of the other habit books that have come out in the last few years and tries to pull some things together. In particular, one that's quite popular and I think is excellent, which is The Power of Habits and Why We Do What We Do in Life and Business. That is by Charles Duhigg. uh, Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg, Mini Habits by Stephen Guise, and he had a follow-up book called Elastic Habits. We sort of took his thoughts to the next level. And then I personally would highly recommend, if you have the time, actually training as a health coach. Rochester has an excellent program. In the interim, if you don't have the time, I really like the book, The Coaching Habit, Say Less, Ask More, and Change the Way You Lead Forever. And that's by Michael Bungay-Stanier. Again, just as a quick kind of, and really apply in your daily life, really. All right, so as we get rolling here, let's make sure I can, there we go. So I have nothing relevant to disclose. So let's start with, what is a habit? Well, I mean, I think we have an idea of that. I'm sure you all do. I mean, it's things we do repeatedly. Typically, we're not all that aware of it. Obviously, some habits are good. We all have them, and some habits are bad, and we all have those as well. And then there are things that we do that might be considered habits that are maybe neutral, but are part of sort of our habit, the things that we do routinely. Now, I mentioned the word routinely. What is the difference between a habit and a routine? As Gandhi said, your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. And I thought this was an interesting quote. Far be it from me to argue or edit something that Gandhi said, but I would say I think there is more of a feedback loop with your values, hopefully, right, for all of us, that our values in many ways can drive many of our habits, and ultimately, ideally, our habits really shape our identity, and vice versa. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But ultimately, habits, when they really become sort of inbred, if you will, happen with little or no conscious thought, whereas routines usually require a higher degree of intention and effort. And obviously, habits are typically triggered by a cue, and we're going to talk about that as well.